Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Call. I am the campaign manager for the Jill Stein and Butch Ware Green Party presidential campaign for 2024. Welcome you all this evening. I'm going to give a land acknowledgement here, but I want to preface it by saying this is a different sort of land acknowledgement that is intended to meet this particular moment right here as we witness this ongoing genocide in Palestine that has now expanded into Lebanon with the horrific attacks on southern and eastern Lebanon, over 500 killed in the last couple of days, ongoing and horrific slaughter that we are all being witness to. And so I want to start with something that my friend Gunhada Timshin, a Metakatla, Alaska native, good friend of mine here in the Seattle area, an activist, supporter of Palestinian liberation, told me or told us as the campaign visited Seattle in February, and we had asked her to give a land acknowledgement at our event. And she said, I don't need to acknowledge that my land has been stolen from me. And what I want to do now is to acknowledge in this moment the Palestinian land has been stolen from them, that we are witnessing a genocide of a colonized and occupied people, that we resist in our hearts this brutal ethnic cleansing and genocide, and that we will stand with the Palestinian people until this has been resolved justly. I also want to take a moment of silence today for the great injustice that has been done in the state of Missouri, where an innocent man has been executed. I want to recognize that the United States is one of the very few nations on earth that still carries on the barbaric practice of state-sanctioned murder. Rest in peace, Marcellus Williams. Rest in power. Please, a moment of silence. Thank you. I want to say that we just returned to our homes from a trip to Los Angeles, where Jill, Butch, and I were able to attend a fundraising event at the home of Jack El-Khalaya, supporter of ours in Orange County. Sorry, not at the home, hosted by Jack El-Khalaya and Sadaf Khan, Sadaf's home. And before we get started with our wonderful guest speakers here, who will speak to this moment and in support of this campaign, I want to show you something. This here, and I haven't unwrapped it, and I'm probably not going to. It's precious, precious cargo. This is a bar of soap made by Palestinians at a refugee camp in Jenin. And their message to us, and all attendees got a bar, and their message to us is, we see you standing strong for us. Don't forget us. Thank you. Keep fighting. And that's what we need to do. We need to keep fighting for Palestinian liberation. As Jill says often, as Gaza goes, we all go. This is a fight for humanity. So on that note, I would like to turn it over to our first speaker. And I don't know who that is, so I don't have the list in front of me. So Mark, if you would like to join in.
Yeah. it's Bria. Is she here? If not, then Dr. Ed can actually start right now.
Dr. Ed Hassan, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ed Hassan. I'm the host of the Sumud podcast. Sumud is a Palestinian term for steadfastness and resilience, and that is exactly what it represents. See, I started the podcast because as someone in the DE&I space, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, I was told not to talk about Palestine. I was even told not to use the word genocide. They tried to silence me and take away my microphone. But if you all know one thing about Palestinians, the more you try to silence us, the louder and more creative we get. So we built our own platform with the microphone that is strong and powerful to amplify Palestinian voices and the voices of our allies, just like Jill Stein and Butch Ware. Listen, we know the playbook now. We've seen this movie before. They want to convince us that we need to settle for the lesser of two evils or else. But let me be clear here. If they ask us to vote for the lesser of two evils, they are part of that evil. Just like we refuse to be silenced about Palestine, we refuse to let anyone silence our vote. We are not here to settle. We are here to demand leaders who represent our values. Look, I had the privilege of interviewing Jill on the podcast, and she didn't pull any punches. She kept it real. Her unwavering stance on a free Palestine, from the river to the sea, proves she is a leader we need. And so I have a special message for Jill and Butch. My wife and I believe in you. We know the system is stacked against you, but we stand with you. We are each donating the allowable maximum to your campaign tonight, because if we truly want to defeat the empire, every single dollar and every bit of support is a weapon in this battle. This is our moment to step up. If you believe in justice, freedom, and breaking away from the chains of lesser evils, then now is the time to act. Don't just sit on the sidelines. Join the fight. Donate, organize, use your voice. Dismantling the empire will take everything we have starting right now. And I'm going to end with this. Please remember, silence is not an option. Settling is not an option. And whether the empire likes it or not, get the hell out of our way, because stopping Jill Stein and Butch Ware isn't an option. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ed. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate your generosity, you and your wife and your family. And I hear you. I mean, same thing with me and my wife. It is a fight, and we have the option right now to choose where we spend our money because the government is using our taxes without our consent to fund the genocide of our own people. So at least we know by giving this maximum or minimum for anybody who can actually donate even $10, but we choose to donate the maximum, we know it is going to the right fight for the humanity that we are all looking for. And we cannot really thank you enough for you and your support and uh, bringing Jill to your podcast to have other people hear the truth, hear that there is an option that we are happy to vote for, not an option we are afraid from the other side. So we're choosing the list of two evil. I agree with you 100%. And now, actually, I believe Mohammed Mo would be our next speaker. Mohammed, can you join?
Yes. Salutations, everybody. Appreciate being here. Thank you again for the opportunity. I go as a TikTok content creator and Instagram user and content creator, Mo Pesci. I appreciate the opportunity. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. My followers are actually observing the live as we are live right now, and they are very thrilled and excited for this opportunity. I don't know what is left to say that our good brother Dr. Hassan hasn't already said. But I will say this. We needed a third party a long, long time ago. And it is about time that people stop being afraid and being stifled to take a chance. And we need to take a chance because we have nothing else left. There's a terminology that is often said amongst my people in Gaza. I've lost 180 family members in a span of just 9 months. And there's a terminology, it's called ekel wa tawakkal. What it basically implies is that in order for you to succeed, you have to give it a try. You do what you can do as best as you can do it, and you leave the rest to God. Now, you don't have to be a Muslim to appreciate the concept of struggle and striving. And that's what we're here to do. Yeah, the odds are against us. I get that. You might be afraid, you might be unsure, you might be hearing some naysayers saying a lot of unnecessary chatter, where here's where the buck stops. I don't choose how my people die. I think that is a twisted choice. I want my people to live, and I want to stand with anyone who's willing to allow my people to live according to the creed that this country was established on: life, liberty, and the pursuit of prosperity. We have an infamous license plate that is on New Hampshire: live free or die. Live free or die. That is a cornerstone of what the United States was built on. The idea that freedom is something that is God-given. And I do believe that Ms. Stein understands the Constitution in its totality, and I do believe she embodies what that truly means, not just for the United States, but what it means for the world. Not only do Palestinians deserve their freedom, but the world does. It needs to be free of tyranny. It needs to be free of subjugation, oppression, and our exportation of warfare. I and many others, we just want to be part of the global world peacefully, and we want a better way. And when we're stuck in a position where it's red or blue, red or blue, red or blue, it's like playing a game of roulette, and you're always betting. You're always going to win. At the end of the day, it's not about how much money you lost. It's about they won the game. Well, I won off that roulette wheel. Time to throw a new color on that table, one that hasn't been bought yet. And that is why I stand firmly behind Dr. Stein. And I encourage all of you to listen attentively and actively, and don't listen to the naysayers. Listen to your conscience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. I really appreciate you. Listening to our conscience is very important, because this is basically what we have to live with. We know our options are limited this election. That's what they want us to believe, but it is not limited. Actually, the sky right now is the limit. If each one of us really speak to our friends and neighbors, we can make that happen. Let's not think about just getting the minimum. Let's think about flip a state. Which state can we flip? Michigan, can we do it? Let's try to do Michigan or Wisconsin or even North Carolina, where I live. Most of the time, a lot of people think I'm throwing my vote away if I vote for green. No, you are throwing your vote away if you vote without actually believing that this person that you're casting your vote for is basically focusing on your value and the same value that you're hoping to have and build the hope for this country. They are building and making us fear the other side. But what we are doing here, we are building the hope for everybody, and that's what we need to focus with. Let's build the hope and vote for the future instead of being afraid from the other side. I really appreciate you, Mo. Thank you so much. And the next speaker would be an attorney, an amazing attorney. His name is Ali Awad. Is it Awad or Awad? Awad? Ali, CEO attorney or CEO lawyer.
Yes, Ali Awad.
Ali Awad. Thank you so much, Ali Awad. I have to spell it in Arabic in order actually to know it's Awad, because A-W-A-D, I cannot pronounce so many ways. But the floor is all yours, sir.
Thank you very much. I am a Palestinian Muslim immigrant that moved to the Bible Belt in Dalton, Georgia, with my parents who are refugees, who are Nakba survivors, I should say, from Gaza as well as from the West Bank. My dad's from the West Bank, my mom is from Gaza. And they had to make a decision 30, 40 years ago that it was time to make a move, because they knew that they were being exterminated. They knew that there was no support, and it was an opportunity for them to raise their children in a comfortable, safe environment. And you fast forward 34 years or so, give or take. I think I just turned 34. And you have one of the fastest growing law firms in America that's built on the idea that justice should prevail, that what is right should happen, and that the investment that my family made and the sacrifice that they made is not going to go to waste. Now, I think we live in a time where we realize, as Americans, as members of a democracy, we don't feel that it is a representative democracy. Somehow we're in a world where there's so many of us that disagree with the status quo. There's so many of us that are unhappy, not just from a physical sense, but a spiritual sense, a religious sense, wherever you come from. We are disappointed in our country for manifesting so much of the evil that we thought we were avoiding. And now we have the opportunity finally to actually use our voice and say, no, we don't disagree. We don't agree with the status quo. We're not happy with how things are going. We do believe that it's worth fighting against genocide. We do believe that the members of our government, of Congress, of the House of Representatives do not represent us. We do believe that AIPAC has a chokehold on our democracy. We do believe that Israel is a parasite on Americans and American values. We do believe that we need to change the way that Americans are operating, or we're doomed. We know the direction that this is going. Somehow, we've accepted the fact that we have a new form of Nazism, which is Zionism. And we've allowed all of our representatives, absent just maybe a handful, who still decide to go either red or blue, even the ones that we thought were representing us, even the ones that we thought, because look, I'll tell you what, they told us that we grew up as Democrats. They told us that if you're an immigrant, as a Palestinian, as a Muslim, you're a Democrat. Why? I don't know why. They're just better for us. That's it. Now I can tell you they suck. They're so bad for us. They're worse than Republicans. And we can't accept the fact that just because we've been voting Democrat for so long that they automatically deserve our vote. The moment that it no longer agrees with our morality and our values is the moment we have to step up and make a change. That's what's happening right now. That's why I'm endorsing Jill Stein for president of the United States. And that's why I believe, even for all the naysayers that say a vote for Stein is a vote for Trump. No, you idiot. When you turn left, it's not the same thing as going straight. We're making a turn. We're going away from the status quo. It's not the same as the direction that we've been going, and they don't deserve our vote. And we're going to stand up. We're going to make a difference. And even if we lose, we're going to show them that our vote means something. And next time you're going to think twice about murdering my family, my friends, and my loved ones. I'm attorney Ali Awad, the CEO lawyer, and I endorse Jill Stein for president of the United States. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Ali, so much. I really appreciate it. And knowing your parents, Nakba survivors, it's it touched everybody right now. Actually, we're living another Nakba right now. And Lebanon probably is going to live it as well, inshallah. No, by God willing, it won't happen. But tonight, actually, in order to continue this fight, we really, really have to make sure that we raise as much as possible. We have 3 matching funds here. If somebody donated 500, one individual, they're going to actually match that 500. Let me actually pull the other ones. And we have also another matching. If somebody donates 3,150, somebody will match that. And there is another match as well. 15 to 25, 1,525. Somebody will match that. So basically, if somebody right now comes and donate $3,150, that means the campaign would get a total of $6,300. And so you're doubling the money. It's like Mo was just talking about the roulette. When you put red or blue, it's right now, it's the green. We're betting on the green to go all the way. And if we can actually have somebody match it, that would be amazing.
Mark, I'm going to break in here and just say that Ali Awad, who just spoke, has matched that 3,150. Ali, thank you so much. That we really appreciate it. Can't say enough. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. This is actually, and now actually the next speaker, let's jump to the next speaker, because really all of them are amazing. They were handpicked because they're funny. We all love them. Everybody knows them. And they just bring us actually a smile every time we see them on TikTok, or see their quick video on Instagram, or somebody forward their name to us or their videos to us. The next one actually after Ali is Hamza. Who doesn't know Hamza? Everybody knows Hamza. I mean, Hamza is one of the iconic, and not just in TikTok and in Instagram, YouTube. He's an amazing individual. I had the pleasure to meet him in person in Dearborn. Actually, all these guests, actually, I had the pleasure to meet them in Dearborn during ArabCon. And Hamza, please join, and the floor is all yours, sir.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. I first want to start off by saying, hi, everyone. My name is Hamza Saadah. I'm 21 years old. I'm a Palestinian American. Both of my parents are fully Palestinian. And yeah, even though I'm Palestinian, listen, if I were, I'm human. And that is why I'm here today. And that is why I'm here to support Dr. Stein on this journey to become the president, inshallah. Okay, that you don't have to be Palestinian or Muslim or Christian or Jewish or anything. You just have to be human to support humanity. You know, you have to have a heart, you have to have a brain, and you have to be able to critically think, or just think in general, to vote for Dr. Stein and understand that what is going on in this world is disgusting. And, you know, every war that we see happen is, you know, America, the US is at the forefront of all of that. I mean, we're the home of war, you know, and Dr. Stein is someone that doesn't just support a free Palestine, but supports no war in general. And that is why Dr. Stein has my vote. You don't need to vote for lesser of the two evils, as everyone mentioned already. You know, you could vote for someone that actually has your values, someone that is actually good for you know, all of the oppressed and the U.S. as well, because obviously as Americans, it's important for us to also, you know, care about our well-being and Americans that live here. And you know what, Jill Stein is also good for that, right? She's not just on one issue. She attacks all of them, and she's very good at it. And that is why Jill Stein has my vote. I just want to quickly say, I mean, listen, if it's been 76 years of occupation, of oppression, of humiliation of the Palestinian people, you know, and it's been 11 months of the genocide in Gaza, and it's only this current genocide that has been 11 months, nearly 1 year on October 7th. It's going to be a year on October 7th, where over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed. Some sources are even saying that 200,000, you know, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been killed, hundreds of thousands wounded as well, millions displaced. And if you don't have someone that supports us like Jill Stein, why should we even give them the attention? Why should we even give them, you know, that vote? You know, because I get a lot of the lesser of two evils, but I promise you, we have someone that has our values, and it's very, very possible for her to win this election. We have 41 days. Everyone needs to act now. And social media is your best friend. You post about this, you talk about it, and make sure it happens, because it's very, very possible. And inshallah, it does happen. Jill Stein, you have my vote. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Hamza, so much. I really appreciate you. And even though he's 21 years old, but he's using his platform to reach out to millions of his followers. And it is really an honor. I'm so proud of him to be a Palestinian just like him. I met him, his mom. I mean, they're really amazing. And I can't thank him enough for joining us tonight. And I know we have a big mission together. So please, guys, try to donate anything you could. If you cannot actually make the donation to match it, since the 3150 has been done by Ali Awad, I mean, we really appreciate it. We still have another two matching. We have 15 and 25.
I wanted to add as well, I will match anyone that donates 500 as well. So I just wanted to add that. So everyone go to jillstein2024.com and please donate. Anything counts, even $1. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamza. Thank you so much, Hamza. And Hamza is helping everybody. I saw him actually just an hour ago. He's posting on his platform, like asking somebody just to help raise $2,000 to evacuate a family in Gaza. So everybody here is doing their part. Everybody here is reaching out the way they can. And the next speaker, she has done beyond what I could even think about. She has traveled the world more than once. She went to Kenya. She went to Egypt. And she's going to Egypt again tomorrow, just to help the refugee from Gaza that actually were displaced from Gaza to Egypt. The next one, actually another amazing lady. Everybody loves her. She brings smile to everybody. And she's so funny. She's a comedian. And I think you should all know who I'm talking about, the Caucasian Arabs. Reema, are you here?
Yes, Reema, you are muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Now we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm sorry I'm not properly dressed. As you know, I leave for Egypt tomorrow to go back and help our displaced Muslim brothers and sisters. So I've been running around all day. Again, thank you guys so much for having me. I just want to read something that I actually read at a protest 2 weeks ago. Last week, we had a protest in Dearborn, Michigan. A few days after that, I flew to California to host an event to raise money for Gaza for another charity. And tomorrow I will leave to go back to Egypt, inshallah. So I am the grandchild and the great-grandchild of a Palestinian. I am 39 years old. and I was a Palestinian. I am a Palestinian and I was born, that means I was born an activist when I came out of my mother's womb. As I said earlier on stage a few weeks ago, I may stand up here today and cry, but just to let everyone know across the globe, including the Zionists, that these are tears from a lioness, and I will not go down without a fight. I want you to know that I am not okay, and that is okay. I want you to know that it is okay to cry, it is okay to laugh, and I want you to know it is okay to smile, because smiling is sunnah. And some of the messages that we got from our Hasan brothers and sisters while in Egypt, when we were there over a month ago, they want us to continue to laugh, they want us to continue to smile, and they want us to continue our traditions. I am tired of talking about the genocide. I'm tired of posting the videos of the genocide. I'm tired of watching the bombs drop on my people. But I am not tired of being tired. I am tired of the world standing by watching the Zionist regime wipe out entire Palestinian families, including my own. I am tired of watching Zionist settlers kick out Palestinians from the West Bank, including my own family who is from the West Bank. Many of you guys don't know this. I've talked about it once on social media a few years ago. My ex-husband, whom I was married to, was from Ramallah in Palestine. And before we got married, he was arrested because the illegal Israeli Zionist regime invaded his city, which I'm not going to name the exact city for his protection. And to fight back and defend his family and to protect his family, he threw a pebble, a stone, which it even says that in the police report, a stone at an Israeli tank. He was arrested for years where he was beaten, tortured, and starved. And unfortunately, because of that incident, we were never able to bring him to America because they considered him a terrorist for defending his family when an Israeli tank tried to bulldoze his home. Unfortunately, we are no longer together, but I continue to use my voice to fight for my ex-husband because his voice matters, and I am able to put the cause, which the cause is bigger than any of us, above all of that. For so many years, Palestinian voices have been silenced. And I am here with you today, and for however long it takes, to tell you we will no longer be silent. You will no longer control our narrative, our future, our destiny, because we are destined to be a free people in a free land where all religions live together in peace. And when we say as Palestinians, hands off Palestine, we absolutely mean hands off Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and any other oppressed nation across the globe, including our oppressed brothers and sisters living here in the US. If there are anyone in here that is a Palestinian, please raise your heads up high, chin up, chest out, be bold, be strong, and be proud. Do not give up. We are almost there. Keep pushing. Keep showing up to protests. Keep boycotting. Keep uplifting. And please vote. My grandfather died in Palestine, never seeing a free Palestine, and I will not let my father die without seeing a free Palestine. And again, it's not just about Palestine, it's about all oppressed voices. And that's why I stand with Dr. Jill Stein, because the oppressed voices in the United States of America need to be uplifted as well. The fight for a free Palestine is a fight for all oppressed voices. My name is Reema. I am a Palestinian Muslim American woman, and I endorse Dr. Jill Stein. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
And
and for
I do
everything
want to,
you-
I don't mean to interrupt you. I also, I will match Hamza's $500, and I would love for anyone in here to match my $500. So you have a $500 donation from myself and my followers on TikTok Live.
Thank you so much for your generosity, guys. And so if anybody here donate right now $500, basically it is going to be $1,000. So please, who's going to match it? Just put it on the chat, and we will make sure to make it happen. I see already Mo already paid for to match actually Hamza's $500. So now we need to get another $500 for Caucasian Arab. And please, just anything you can that would help us to continue our fight, because this is basically what we're doing. At least we are using it in the way we want to use it. And I know everybody here have their own family, but still spending the fund right now and donating for this campaign, it will make us go further. We must do it, guys. It is really not an option for us to go back. There is no going back before October 7th or before anything. It's going to be the same thing. The killing will continue. So the only option right now is to donate, to put our money and our words where actually can help us to move this coming election and make a change to our kids, basically, and the future of this country. So please try to make as much as you can. $10, $15. We have here right now about 364 so far. If each one of us donate $5 or $10, we can make it happen. I mean, small numbers. Remember, this campaign does not accept fund from any corporate America or PACs. They cannot accept this fund. They refuse to accept it. So it only relies on fund from people like you and I. That's it. There's no corporate somebody will come and buy this campaign to influence it in any way possible. So your voice will be heard, because your support with your fund will make us move further. And
Mark, may I say
now
something
actually-
really quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to let you guys know, guys, as you know, money is power. And if we don't have the power up there, listen, this is my third time going back to Egypt to help our displaced husbands that fled the genocide. The third time. I just flew back from California from raising over $30,000 for Gaza. I did it last week, and I do it every single day of my life. We can keep on raising money for these oppressed voices. That's not a problem, because we're going to do it today, tomorrow, and however long it takes. But we need to put an end to it. We cannot continue to go on like this. I know many of you have been donating, especially the past year, an awful lot, as well as myself, and I would donate more, but unfortunately I need my money to be with them tomorrow when I go to Egypt. So please, guys, we need to get a powerful voice such as Dr. Jill Stein up on top so that we can put an end to all of this. No more fundraising, no more charity. Our people, our Palestinian people, are not a charity case. They are human beings. We need to use our voices and get someone all the way up to the top. So please, somebody match my $500 donation, guys. Please, please, please. Thank you. I apologize.
No, you're good. Actually, your $500 has been matched, and not only once, more than once.
Let's
so we
go.
really appreciate it. Yep, we really, really appreciate it. It was matched by Vanessa and also Brandy. Both of them just donated $500. We really appreciate it. This is exactly the right community that we are looking for. You guys are really amazing. And with your support, this is exactly what we're doing. You really make us proud and build the hope for us to continue this fight. And the next speaker actually will be I'm gonna say right now his last name correctly. He is the brother of the CEO lawyer. He is actually Ibrahim Awad, and he also known by karate attorney. Ibrahim.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, the King, the Holy One, the source of peace and perfection. Peace be upon all of you, my dear brothers, sisters, teachers, uncles, and elders. My name is Ibrahim Awad, also known as Karate Attorney. You've probably heard the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished. You've probably heard that phrase. And when you think about it, that's such a horrible, horrible phrase. Because it makes you think twice after you do something good, right? Because it tethers the good that you did to an immediate result. And it's actually a phrase that is antithetical to our faith. Muslims actually read a chapter in the Quran every Friday. It's the 18th chapter of the Quran. It's supposed to be read every single Friday. And in that chapter, there's a verse, the 30th verse, translates to mean those who have faith and those who do good deeds, verily their reward will not go to waste. If you have faith and you do good, your reward will not go to waste. So the truth is, no good deed goes unrewarded. And that is an essential truth. Every single act of righteousness, every decision grounded in faith and justice is never wasted. It may seem like voting for a third party is small, insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but I stand before you to say that from a deeply devotional and spiritual perspective, no vote cast in good conscience can ever be wasted. The question before us is not just about who will occupy the highest office in this country. It's about whether we allow our conscience to guide us or whether we will allow fear and the weight of societal expectations to dictate our actions. And we're told time and time again that voting for someone other than the major parties is throwing your vote away. In other words, it's wasted. How can a vote made in sincerity ever be thrown away? How can a decision rooted in justice, compassion, and truth be considered as lost? That's a fallacy. It's designed to keep us chained to a system that continues to harm the most vulnerable among us. Now, I'm a personal injury lawyer. I deal with the aftermath of harm every day. My job is to evaluate the cost of that harm, to put a dollar sign assessing the value of that harm and ensuring that those responsible pay what is due. So my task is to assess the fair market value of the loss of a client's arm or the loss of their eyesight. And if millions of dollars are determined to be the just reimbursement for an amputated arm, then what about the harm caused by a presidential candidate who still perpetuates lies of mass rape justifying a genocide? The value of that presidential vote is measured not just in dollars or policies, but in human lives, in the lives of the innocent who are suffering, the lives of our Palestinian brothers and sisters being exterminated, and the dignity of entire nations that are being oppressed. And both parties have cost themselves the trust, the moral weight, and the preciousness of our vote. And that's why I support Dr. Jill Stein. She has won the value of my vote, not because she's backed by the establishment, because we know that's not the case, not because she promises to uphold the status quo, but because she dares to stand for what is right. She dares to stand against the genocidal policies of Israel. And frankly, she probably has the most to lose by doing so. As a Jewish woman, Dr. Stein's stance against these atrocities come at the highest cost. Her courage is not just political, it's personal. She has risked being excommunicated from her own community, ostracized by those who view criticism of Israel's mass murder as anti-Semitic. Yet she has chosen principle over political correctness, truth over convenience. No good deed goes unrewarded, and her sacrifice can be argued to be greater than all of ours. And she's willing to lose her social standing, her community, and more to stand with the oppressed. And that is the very definition of leadership. Standing for justice when the cost is immense. So I urge every single one of us to vote with our conscience, vote knowing that the Creator sees all and nothing done with a sincere heart is ever lost. And we choose justice, even when it is difficult, even when it is unpopular. So I ask everyone that's watching, that's a follower of mine, I ask you not to be swayed by fear or the pressure of conformity, and choose the path that aligns with your faith and values. And in the end, no good deed goes unrewarded. It will never be lost in the sight of the Creator. It will echo far beyond the walls of this world and into the hereafter. I have full faith that the reward will come, maybe not on my timeline, but on God's time. So may God guide us all to the path of justice and truth. My name is Ibrahim Awad, the karate attorney, and I, without hesitation or reservation, endorse Dr. Jill Stein. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibrahim, so much for your time. And I really appreciate it. It is really amazing to see two brothers attorneys fighting for the injured people here, side by side, building one of the top practice nationwide. And they came from my hometown, half of them, their mom from Gaza, their dad from the West Bank. So it's really an honor to have you with us here, guys. And I can't thank you enough for being generous with your time and your words, and asking your followers to do this. Now, actually, the last, not least, the last speaker, everybody saw her in ArabCon probably. She's the one who was questioning one of the elected representative. Her name is Rania Masri. Rania, please, can you join? The floor is all yours.
Yes, good evening. I'm honored to be with you all and honored to share the screen again with Dr. Jill Stein and Professor Butch Ware. I have stood against wars all my life, and thus it is only natural that I will be voting for Dr. Jill Stein and Professor Butch Ware from the swing state of North Carolina. Today, Israel expanded its genocide into Lebanon. The September 17th mass mutilation event, the terrorist transformation of pagers into explosives, injured 4,000 and mutilated hundreds. In the past 48 hours alone, Israel has dropped over 2,000 bombs on Lebanon. More Lebanese have been killed in the past week than all the Lebanese that Israel killed in the 34-day 2006 war. The terrorist Israeli state is expanding its genocide into the region. I say expanding because amidst all the horror that Israel has rained onto Lebanon, Israel continues its genocide on Palestinians in Gaza. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza have died because of US-funded Israeli bombs. And everyone in Gaza, an area smaller than the city of Raleigh, North Carolina, everyone in Gaza is either sick or injured or both. And everyone is hungry. The Biden-Harris administration, all the while, knew Israel was blocking food and medicine from entering Gaza for the past 11 months, and they allowed Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to lie so that they can continue to send weapons to Israel. This administration, the Biden-Harris administration, has already approved over $27 billion in military aid for Israel. This equates to 11% of the total U.S. military assistance to Israel since World War II. And the Biden-Harris administration has promised us more wars, not less, but more. Today, just today, Biden delivered a warmongering rant at the United Nations. He demanded war against Russia, war against Iran, and he threatened China, and he did it all in 25 minutes. Biden's legacy is a world in flames, and his successor, Kamala Harris, only wants to expand these wars. We all heard her say at the Democratic convention that her desire is to make the United States have the most, quote, the most lethal military force. So more money to the military. All the while, Kamala Harris is gleeful about supporting fracking and historic oil drilling, imposing more stringent immigrations than Donald Trump, funding more brutality amongst the police, so more of our Black and brown bodies in this country will be brutalized by the police. She is endorsing torture and the death penalty. For the first time, the Democratic platform in 2024 endorses torture and approves of the death penalty. And all the while, Kamala Harris is gleeful that she has the endorsement of Goldman Sachs. She is proud to have the endorsement of more than 200 Republicans, including Dick Cheney. And it puzzles me how a Democrat could be proud of having the endorsement of leaders in an opposing party. It just puzzles me. But we are told we got to vote for Kamala Harris. Why? Out of fear of Donald Trump. But I challenge folks, find me the sunlight between their policies. And when I ask liberals who continue to call me to tell me one Kamala Harris policy that they like, they are silent. They merely respond with the lesser of the two evils argument, but since when is genocide the lesser of the evils? So actually, if I'm going to follow their logic and vote for the lesser of the two evils, I'll vote for Donald Trump. But I don't want evil. Could we have that on the platform? Could we just choose not to vote for evil? And then the liberals turn around, and I have heard this as a direct quote from them, to say, but Kamala Harris is a woman, and she looks like us. She's a person of color, and she speaks with such joy. And I can't help but remember the words of Martin Luther King when he said that he has a dream that one day his children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So why, when it comes to Kamala Harris, must we judge her by the color of her skin? And I say, no, if we judge her by the content of her character, then we see her for who she is. Just like Professor Butch said, a representative of the carceral state and a white supremacist in blackface. A person who openly tells us what she wants and claims to be blue when actually I just see her as red. So if we do want to judge by the value of her character, then of course we're not going to vote for Kamala Harris. And then the liberals come around and they tell us this, that our vote for Jill Stein and Butch Ware would be a wasted vote because they won't win, So in democracy, are we supposed to vote for those who win, even if we don't like them? Is this like a gambling game that we do? We got to vote for the winner? And what if we vote for a candidate and they win? I mean, my God, if I'm supposed to vote for the winner, that means they want me to vote for Kamala Harris. I don't want her to win. And I don't want Donald Trump to win. So how is that not a wasted vote? What they're actually telling us, these liberals, is we need to acquiesce. What they're actually telling us is we need to accept defeat. They're telling us that we need to be grateful for the crumbs. We need to be grateful for that sliver of sunlight between the difference between the red and the blue, that sliver of sunlight between the warmongering, genocidal Democrats and the Republicans. And I say no. We are all here to say no. We will not acquiesce. We will not defeat. We will not, just say yes to that sliver of sunlight. No, we want the full sunlight. We will say yes from the swing states of North Carolina to the swing states of Georgia and the swing states of Michigan. We will say that our states are going to be swinging for justice. Our states are not going to acquiesce to Kamala Harris. They cannot scare us. Our states are going to swing for justice. And when they swing for justice, they swing away from Kamala Harris and they swing towards Jill Stein and Butch Ware. We have been inspired by people before us who fought for what is right and stood for justice and made that justice a reality. We have been inspired by people who refuse to accept crumbs from the master's table. We have been inspired by abolitionists who rose up against monarchies. At a time when people thought that the royalties were divine, they stood up and said no. We have been inspired by the abolitionists who fought against slavery when their hands were in literal chains and they broke free from those chains. We have been inspired by the abolitionists who fought against serfdom, those labor unions who gave us our 8-hour workday and our weekend. We have been inspired by them. We remember the Haymarket Massacre, and we vow today to become the abolitionists that will fight against the criminal duopoly and win. We will become those abolitionists. And we have not only been inspired by those who have risen and won, we have been inspired by everyone who recognizes that they have a vision and they struggle. We've been inspired by Eugene Debs, who said, "When I rise, I will rise with the masses and not from the masses." We have been inspired by Bobby Seale and Huey Newton and other members of the Black Panthers who scared the FBI so much that they had to shoot them in their sleep. We have been inspired by Leonard Peltier, who is still a prisoner of war in US jails because he calls for liberation for the Native communities in this country, because it is not enough to give a land acknowledgement without saying land back and reparations. We are inspired today by the Palestinians and Lebanese who continue to live, who continue to rebuild their homes. They are rebuilding their homes in Gaza. We are inspired by the Palestinians and Lebanese who continue their struggle for liberation and equality against the fourth strongest military in the world. We don't hear them saying, "Oh, we can't win, so we don't struggle." It's because they believe that freedom is their right and liberation is their right, and they are bound by a duty to their land that they fight, and they have won. Let us remember that they have won. In May 25th, 2000, 24 years ago, the Lebanese won in kicking out the Israeli military occupation from the vast majority of their lands. They won. And let us remember, there has not been an Israeli military victory against Palestinians or Lebanese. They are losing militarily in Gaza, and they are losing militarily in Lebanon. All that the terrorist state knows how to do is to kill. But our people know how to live, and our people want to live. And we remember and we honor them by saying that here in the United States, we will not succumb to defeat. We will not bow our heads and vote out of fear for either one of the purple fascists. No, 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 no. In the United States, we will resist. And if we believe in that, we got to remember we could win. Technically, today, technically, Jill Stein and Butch Ware could win the White House. Let that sink into us. Technically, we could win the White House. We could have, finally, for the first time in this country's history, people in the White House who believe in peace and justice and equality for all, and not just the rich and the corporations and the military-industrial complex. We could win. And we can definitely try. We can definitely try in the attempt, even if we don't get the White House, but in that attempt, when we go to the polls and we vote, in that attempt, we are saying that we are voting out of love, we are voting out of principle, we are voting out of justice, and we refuse to acquiesce and vote out of fear. We refuse that. We will honor our martyrs in Palestine and Lebanon by making sure that our swing states swing for justice and swing towards Jill Stein and Butch Ware. And maybe this November or the next November, we will be able to say, we welcome you President Dr. Jill Stein and Vice President Professor Butch Ware. God, just saying that makes me feel good. So let's vote in November and swing our states. Thank you.
There is nothing to say. After that, I cannot even try to even come close to it. Thank you, Rania. We really appreciate you. Rania is one of our leaders here in Raleigh, and she's the one who motivated me to start looking for better life, not just for me, not just for my kids, but also for our community. She's one of the leaders I always look up to and listen to her guidance, because she just spoke, and you know why I listen to her. And now I would love to welcome Professor Dr. Butch Ware to join us on this panel. Dr. Bilal.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace and blessings to everyone. I'm still, my heart is like swelling with love and passion and respect for my dear sister, Rania. Look forward to building with you in person. I'd like to just take a moment to recite Fatiha for the soul of Marcellus Williams, who in his last statement expressed his faith and said, "Give thanks to Allah in all states." So for all of you that are people of faith, we will be reciting Fatiha. And for all of you who are people of conscience, we will be observing a moment of silence. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. In the Quran, there's this profound lesson about the sanctity of human life. The Quran references the revealed scriptures of the people of old, the real Jewish religion, not this murderous Zionist caricature of faith. And the Quran evokes the earlier scriptures by saying, whoever takes a life unjustly, it is as though they have killed all of humanity. And indeed, the United States government has taken a life unjustly. And indeed, the United States government is currently engaged in a war on humanity itself, escalating from a genocide in Gaza to now engaging in genocidal warfare against the people of Lebanon, against the people of Lebanon, escalating with the attempt to bring about World War III. So it is not just as though when we take an innocent life, it is as though we have taken the life of all of humanity. The United States government seems intent on doing both. The state of Missouri denied clemency, this corrupt, murderous, carceral state of which Kamala Harris is the principal representative and exemplar, passed on the opportunity to do what's right and to let an innocent man live. The United States Supreme Court passed on the opportunity to let an innocent man live. And why? Because they want to break us. They want to show us that resistance is futile. They know it is within their power to provide clemency and to give hope, and they do not want hope. They want us hopeless. They want us broken. But we, Stein Ware, are unbreakable. We are not broken in this moment. We are filled with revolutionary resolve. I'm going to tell a story briefly that explains the psychology of the colonizers that are trying to break our psyches in this moment so that we can be armed for resistance that will lead to victory. One of my mentors, Mahmoud El-Khati is his name, when I was a 19-year-old standing outside of a Pan-Africanist bookstore after a revolutionary gathering, pulled me to the side and he said, "Brother Butch, do you know how they train elephants in the circus?" And I looked at him like he was crazy, the way that you guys are looking at me right now. And I said, "My brother, I'm sure I don't know how they train elephants at the circus." He said, "They whip them. They whip them hard with heavy lashes when they're small children, little animals. A baby bull elephant, if it gets loose, will trample all of those that try to hold it in bondage. So they whip them brutally. And they take heavy chains and tether them to their legs till where the chains bite into the flesh of the ankles. And then they take those heavy chains and they tether them to heavy iron pegs in the ground so that every time that that animal is whipped and it tries to flee, it learns that resistance is futile, that it cannot flee, that there's nowhere for it to go, that it can't break free from these chains. But once its will is broken, that animal can come to be 2-ton, fully grown elephant. And you can make any insignificant crackling sound with a lash in the air. You can take any insignificant cord, tether it to its ankle, tether that cord to any insignificant peg, and that animal will no longer run for its freedom. Why? Because it has been conditioned to accept its bondage. The animal enslaves itself. The principal obstacle between us and victory is that we have been conditioned to accept defeat. We have been conditioned to stay in our place no more. We are not accepting this narrative that we cannot win in this fight. We are not accepting this psyop that we are going to be broken and humiliated. I accepted the religion of Islam at age 15 after reading the autobiography of Malcolm X cover to cover in one night. Malcolm brought me into Islam and he brought me into revolutionary resolve. And Malcolm said, "Never let your enemy tell you how many of you there are." If you believe for a second the lying media, the lying pollsters that will tell you that you have no pathway to victory, you're a fool. Because the first thing that I learned when I joined this campaign is that in point of fact, the Democratic Party has no path to victory in November's election. They have already lost the swing states of Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and they are never getting them back. 65% of the Muslims in those states voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and Joe Biden needed every last one of those Muslim votes in order to win in any of those swing states. They are polling at under 15% in the Muslim population in those swing states now. Dead man walking. They cannot win. So they are engaged instead in a psyop to try to pin their inevitable defeat on you, who would consolidate power in a third party rather than laying down and dying quietly the way that they want you to. We have not had the resistance whipped out of us. We are free and we hold our heads high. And we will write our name, for those of us that are people of faith, in the eternal tablets as those who resisted. We will not sign our names next to pharaohs and Nimrods and Roman emperors that sought to crucify Jesus and behead John. We write our name, we inscribe our names in the annals of history if we are people of conscience. We make our vote count, not to be spoilers, but to be victors. I told you that I came into Islam and I came into the Black radical tradition through Malcolm. I am a product of the Black Muslim tradition, not just the Black Muslim tradition of El-Hajj Malik Shabazz Malcolm X, but the Black Muslim tradition of Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, who stood next to Dr. Jill and I. He who refused to stand at the national anthem in 1991 saw himself blackballed, who was walking in the footsteps of Muhammad Ali himself, who refused to serve in the criminal army of this imperialist state. Well, let me tell you something. When Muhammad Ali got into the ring with Sonny Liston and kept sticking him and telling him, say my name, he was not getting in that ring as a spoiler. He was getting in the ring to knock that sucker out. And that's why I got into the ring of this fight. This is not a drill. This is what we have been drilling for. And in every one of our traditions of faith and of conscience, in every one of our faiths and philosophies, one eternal truth rings through them all. All empires fall. We will not bow to this carceral state. We will not bow to this imperium. We will not allow them to colonize our mindset. We will gather together the force and the resources that are needed to resist. Y'all better get in your pockets and donate now, because we will need resources to fight back against this people. And the Green Party cannot accept being on the field just to play. We have to play to win, and that means putting your money where your mouth is now. I have already given my 3,300 max donation. Where y'all at? And as soon as you have given everything that you can give, and even a little more than you can give, then you need to find 11 people that are capable of giving exactly what you gave. Stop holding back in your arguments with these people. Make the case. Leverage your political relationships, the goodwill that you have established in your communities. Push your chips to the middle. It is not time to wait anymore. It is not time to play cautious or play coy. If you believe in this mission, then leverage your relationships upon it, because that's what I did. And that's what Dr. Jill has been doing for a couple of decades. And anything less than that is compromising the mission. If you withhold, it is hypocrisy. That's not me. That's the Quran, Surah At-Tawbah, 9th chapter, 75th to 77th verses. The people said, God, give to us. And if you give to us, then we will be generous. And then God granted to them and they withheld. So then God punished them by putting hypocrisy in their hearts. In this narrative, in this sacred narrative, and whether or not it's your tradition, it is a powerful meaning-making device. It tells you that hypocrisy is not the sin. Hypocrisy is the punishment. The sin is withholding. The sin is stinginess. The sin is waiting on the sidelines while others have entered into the fight. Y'all better get armed. And I mean armed with the weapons of resistance, voter registration, donations. Get those QR codes on your phone. Take them to every gathering that you are in. Join us in pushing all of your chips into the middle in this fight. As soon as you believe, as I do, that victory is not impossible, but inevitable, then doing that which victory requires becomes easy. Peace and blessings to all the martyrs, from Palestine to Ferguson, to Marcellus Williams in Missouri.
Thank you so much, Butch. We really appreciate it. I missed to mention actually a couple of donors. I mean, I've been moving from one speaker to another, missing to talk about who's donating, and really appreciate them to call them out. Hamira Sheikh donated $50. We have Christine Pippin, $100. We have Rosemary donated $250. We have Rania Khalil donated $3,300 maxed out. Thank you, Rania. We have also Michael Acosta donated $50. We have Michael Hall donated $24. We have Akil Coral donated $5. We have Adrian Freeman, $75. Timothy Bowman, $50. Oguz Koki, I'm sorry if I pronounced wrong, $100. We have Rashid Hill, donated $1,000. Thank you guys so much. I mean, they're coming, and I love this one. Eclisti Castorina, she donated $20.24. That means it's 2024. This is the year we're gonna change everything. If each one of us donated $20.24, anything can help. And we have Alan Rosen donated $25. We have Rania Masri. She's not even just speaking and helping. She donated $50. Thank you, Rania. We have Beth Lane donated $50. And really, it keeps coming. And we really, really appreciate it. $10, $20. I mean, anything you can do would help us move forward. And now, actually, our next president, by God willing, Madam President, Dr. Jill Stein, thank you so much for everything you are doing for us.
Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you so much to everyone who is here. Thank you so much to all of our absolutely jaw-dropping, powerful speakers, the incredible inspirational souls that you are. I feel like we're in this absolutely extraordinary, unprecedented moment, this moment of genocide, this moment of just utter, incredibly brutal, murderous behavior beyond imagination that we're witnessing on the part of the Israeli state, on the part of the Zionist state. And we are witnessing not just murder, we're witnessing torture that's been ongoing for almost a year now of 2 million people. Many are dying, but everyone is being tortured by the denial of food and water and shelter and any sense of security and peace. And people are being chased from one refuge to another, and there's no refuge either. You know, people are living on the street or in tents or in destroyed schools. It's just beyond the imagination what we are witnessing. And it's as though this is the ultimate expression of an empire that has gone entirely off the rails. Empire has been committing endless war and murder, especially in the Middle East, since 9/11. And the first of those wars was in pursuit of weapons of mass destruction, which did not exist. This was a made-up excuse for destroying Iraq, killing 1 million people, you know, and that was after sanctions had killed another 500,000 children before that. And before that, you know, there were regime change operations, one after the other, some 70 or 80 of them since the Second World War. And what we're seeing in Gaza is really sort of the ultimate expression of what happens when an empire completely goes off the rails and there is no mechanism of restraining them. We used to have some sense of international law and human rights where at least there was some shame that could be imposed. Even Ronald Reagan called back Menachem Begin in 1982, I think it was, the last time that Israel went full bore into Lebanon and was massacring thousands of people, predominantly the PLO, but it was much more than that as well. And so many innocent civilians were being massacred. Even Ronald Reagan, the warmonger that he was, had enough shame to say, this is it, this is over. He simply picked up the phone, and in fact, within 24 hours, it was over. But now, here in this country, our criminal leadership has become so corrupted, has become so wholly owned, entirely owned by the war machine and by AIPAC and by corporations that it has no soul. It has no sense of shame, no sense of humanity. We cannot allow this to happen. As Gaza goes, we all go. We are normalizing the torture and murder of children on an industrial scale. And we must say to our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, everyone, that if you vote for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or RFK for that matter, who is still on the ballot, and some people think he's a peace candidate because he's been advertising himself as a peace candidate. You have to know something about him to know that he is a warmonger just like the rest of them. He's even a more vicious Zionist perhaps than the others too. If you vote for them, you are giving a seal of approval to genocide. You are being talked into genocide, and you are endorsing and affirming genocide. So as one of the wonderful previous speakers, I think it was one of the Awad brothers, I don't remember which one, you know, who was talking about, you know, that we have to stand up and do right, you know, that no good deed is unrewarded. It is a ultimate good deed to say no to genocide and to vote no to genocide. By caving to genocide, you're affirming it. And genocide, I was taught growing up in the aftermath of the genocide of Jews, the aftermath of the Holocaust, just after the Second World War, attending a synagogue, living in a Jewish community that was trying to figure out, how is their life after genocide? How do we go on? How do we have a sliver of faith in humanity? What we were taught was that we affirm our humanity, we restore our humanity by affirming and declaring that genocide will never happen again, not to anyone. And further, we acknowledge that the guilty are not just those who commit genocide. The guilty are those who are bystanders to genocide and allow it to happen. And right now it's not only happening, but we're paying for it. It is being paid for with our tax dollars. Our elected officials give it diplomatic cover, provide the intelligence for it, provide the weapons for it, which also happens to be against 3 US laws. 3 US laws say you may not provide weapons to anyone interfering with the delivery of humanitarian aid, with countries that are violating human rights, and with countries that are violating nuclear weapons treaties. And Israel is guilty on all 3 counts. So it is a violation of US law as well as international law to do this. So there is every reason for the president to simply pick up the phone and do that right now. Every vote against genocide is a shot across the bow of the perpetrators of genocide. It's a shot across the bow of empire to say, we are here, we are getting organized, we are growing stronger by the day, we are not going away, and we are going to stop this. And the more powerful our vote, the more powerful that shot across the bow, and the sooner we will interrupt this genocide. There are 2 million lives still, in spite of the 200,000 or more who've already been murdered. There are still 2 million people who are in the target hairs, who are fighting starvation right now, and lack of water, infectious disease, no medical care. It's sort of the ultimate torture machine. I mean, to my mind, I see this as a death camp. I don't see how this is not a death camp. How is this not sort of the ultimate form of torture? Because it is prolonged torture. There's not even sanitation, let alone food and water. People are living in their own sewage in many areas of Gaza right now. It's just unthinkable what is being inflicted on humanity. It's like we must not stop talking about Gaza and the genocide, but we also must not stop resisting. And we must resist in every way possible. It is so inspiring to see students who are still standing up and resisting in spite of the stranglehold on campuses now, which, by the way, is funded by the Knesset, by Israel, is providing the money to these nonprofit organizations that are then promoting legislation and policies, as well as interfering in our elections. If this is not a violation of the Foreign Agent Registration Act, I don't know what is. Others are accused of violating the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and they're on trial for 15 years in jail. The Uhuru 3, the African Socialist People's Party, is on trial now. They've just defeated one of their charges, but there's still another charge. And they were basically facing 15 years in prison for simply talking about and educating about reparations, which was deemed a Russian, influence campaign. Totally preposterous, because they had accepted a very minute amount of money for reimbursing expenses in this campaign. They were accused of conspiring with Russia and being foreign agents, unregistered foreign agents, for which the penalty is 15 years in jail. There's a paper trail now for AIPAC. Actually, it's not specifically AIPAC, it's the nonprofits that are coordinating these policies to shut down debate, to shut down resistance, to shut down the BDS movement, to shut down Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voice for Peace, to shut it down on our campuses. This is actually being bought and paid for by money that's coming from the Israeli government. So I don't know how this is not, a serious violation of US laws. It's certainly a violation of our democracy. And when we saw Donald Trump and Kamala Harris debate, so to speak, mostly hurl accusations at each other. They weren't really debating concepts. They were just having sort of a mudslinging contest. They were debating who could be the greater servant of Israel, who could pledge greater allegiance to Israel. And now, we are witnessing, as Rania was describing, we're witnessing the expansion of this genocide. The genocide is not only moving from Gaza to the West Bank, where, by the way, Hamas does not exist in the West Bank. So what's the excuse there? There's no excuse, actually. This is just pure ethnic cleansing and genocide. The assault is expanding to the West Bank, and now that assault has really gone ballistic in Lebanon in a way which is horrifying and extremely dangerous for everyone, obviously, because Hezbollah is in alliance with Iran, which is in alliance with Russia, which has been forced into alliance with China because of really unwise, stupid US foreign policy that's been threatening everybody, acting like the bully in the schoolyard, and bringing our most powerful adversaries together. And we could potentially be facing them all. And what are our clueless criminal misleaders doing? They are sending more aircraft carriers and battleships to the Mediterranean. The Truman aircraft carrier and the battleships that go with it. There's another aircraft carrier which is already stationed off the coast of Iran, which is pretty scary if we are stationing our firepower now off the coast of Iran. And according to Joe Biden today, it might have been yesterday, I'm not sure when he said it, but that we are sending more troops without saying how many. There are already 40,000 US troops in the area. So if this isn't a tinderbox that's ready to go up in flames, I don't know what is. So it's just so critical that we stand up, because we must. As another one of our wonderful speakers said, this is not a rehearsal. This is not a party. We are looking at doom. Yeah, it was Ali Awad, I think, who said that we are doomed if we do not fight this. We are in the target hairs. As Gaza goes, we all go. And that means, like right now as well, we cannot allow this war to grow in the way that our leaders will allow it to grow, will even encourage it to grow. When Iran is threatening retaliation, our leaders are all about cool your jets. Calm it down, let's de-escalate. But when it's Israel, it's, full steam ahead. This is not what the American people want. This is impoverishing us. This is a symbol of the war machine, the endless war machine, which is costing us $1 trillion a year. It is half of our congressional dollars. That is why we do not have the money we need for healthcare. We're in a state of healthcare emergency right now. We're seeing the rise of not only chronic disease, but diseases of despair. Why are people despairing? Because we are being oppressed and disinvested from as people. Our dollars are going to the military, not to healthcare, not to our communities, not to housing. Half of all Americans are severely economically stressed trying to keep a roof over their heads. We are all in the target hairs, including for endless expanding war that could readily go nuclear in the blink of an eye. So this is just, to say that we are in this incredible moment now where the need for transformational change has never been so absolutely urgent, but the possibility of that change has never loomed so large. It has never been so close at hand. 1 out of every 3 voters in 2020, 1 out of every 3 eligible voters chose not to vote in the last presidential race because they didn't buy the zombie political candidates and parties being rammed down our throats. There is widespread, disaffection and cynicism towards our political system, which is why the Democrats are working so hard to silence us and to shut us down, knowing that their days are numbered and that there's enormous power out there that we can galvanize together. And what we are doing here on this call is just an example of that. I want to give a shout out for Mark for bringing all these just unbelievably powerful Palestinian voices together. A big thank you to Mark. Mark, who always wants to be behind the scenes, but Mark, you are doing such a great job of leading the proceedings tonight. And Mark kind of stepped up because others who were going to do it had some issues. So Mark was kind of arm twisted into stepping forward tonight, and he's done an absolutely amazing job, as all of our speakers are, and who they are and what they represent, and having come from the Nakba, having come as refugees to this country, and having just done so much creative giving and sharing and leading the model lives that you're leading. This community just represents what we can do. And I personally am so grateful to everyone in this community for leading the charge. None of us could be doing this without all of us. Together, we really create this unstoppable force. I could not have stood up if I weren't seeing others standing up. As I've been hearing so many people saying lately that their courage was inspired by somebody else's, we are in that moment of courage. We are in that moment where people are done being thrown under the bus as workers, as families needing health care, as families needing access to education and housing. We're done. We're done being thrown under the bus. People are waking up, even though, those who get to the megaphone, the mainstream media and our nonprofit organizations, so many of them are bought and paid for and are part of a system. So much of the conversation is cheerleading the status quo. But in fact, Americans, we know, according to polls, are done with this system. Even before the genocide, over 60% of Americans were saying they really wanted another political choice because the two parties have done such a horrible job of not serving the public interest. So people were really ready for deep systemic change even before the genocide. And now the genocide is just such a horrific symbol of our leadership. And way back after the genocide started, it was already 68% who were saying it's time for an immediate solution. Now it's time for a diplomatic solution and an end to the assault on Gaza. That's been the case since November. And now you have an astounding supermajority, over 60%, who are saying it's time for a weapons embargo. And now that Israel is invading Lebanon and massively expanding this war, and they're going to be calling on U.S. for help. I mean, U.S. has already provided help, and the SOS hasn't gone out, but the SOS will go out from Israel because Israel can't handle the one war that it already has. It's taken a huge hit militarily, economically. People are leaving by the droves. Israel does not have long to survive, even before it expanded this war. Israel has never conducted a war that has lasted so long. It does not have the resources to do it whatsoever. So this is very self-destructive on the part of Israel, but you're seeing U.S. step up to the plate already. And it must be stopped. It will, I want to remind people that the draft is back. The draft is back, and our young people are being automatically registered for it. And now they're sending troops over there. And this is going to be, an utter catastrophe on the road that we're on. So it's not beyond possibility that we could be sending a lot of boots on the ground and they could be reactivating the draft. All they have to do is flick the switch and declare a military need for it. And, it's like cop cities are here under the Democrats, by the way. We don't have to wait for Donald Trump for fascism. Heads are being cracked on our campuses and in the street simply for standing up to protest genocide, which the American people agree with. And the cops that are committing these horrific acts have been trained by the Israeli occupation forces. So the dots connect here. We cannot live in this empire, which is not only creating genocide abroad, it's also conducting a war, arguably a slow motion genocide on people of color here in this country, on working people in this country. There is a war on Americans and a war on our democracy. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose by standing up and, demanding that we have an America that works for all of us, which we cannot have unless we also have a world that works for all of us. Because while we are the empire that is, controlling the world with the barrel of a gun, there is no democracy at home either. So this is a win-win for all of us, that 1 out of every 3 eligible voters who didn't vote in 2020 They are the same voters who benefit from our agenda for healthcare as a human right, for housing as a human right, for canceling student debt, bailing out the students like we bailed out Wall Street back in 2008, ending the genocide, cutting the military budget in half, and putting those dollars into what we need right here at home. So I'm going to stop there. But one last thought, which is that we have the potential to actually break out fully in this election. And what a grassroots campaign needs in order to do that is to simply turn the crank of a grassroots campaign, which is tabling, flyering, door knocking, and phone banking, along with fundraising. That's basically it. This is not rocket science. This is about each of us deciding that we own this campaign, because this is how we turn the breaking point that we're all at into a tipping point for a world that works for all of us. If we own this campaign, if we all step up and say, hey, I'm signing up right now, not only to contribute, but also to volunteer, and I'm bringing my friends into this, my community, we actually have the numbers, we can win this. If we simply get the alienated voters, the of color, low income, working people to stand up, to have something to come out and vote for, we've won. We can actually win, especially in a four-way race where there are 3 pro-genocide candidates who are all splitting the pro-genocide vote among each other. They're splitting that vote, and we're the one unifying vote, which is anti-genocide, anti-war, pro-worker, climate emergency. We can be a unifying vote and easily compete with them when they're already splitting the pro-war vote 3 ways. So don't let anybody ever tell you that this is just some kind of token campaign, or this is just some hypothetical visionary ideas. No, this is a practical campaign, and it starts with the 2 million people whose lives are on the line right now and shutting down that genocide right now, which we can do in a single phone call on the day that we prevail in the election. And even if we don't prevail, we create enormous momentum for who's ever holding power to have to stop the genocide. So every vote is a powerhouse vote. Every vote is a shot across the bow of the empire. Every vote that caves for the lesser evil, because there is no lesser evil, but every vote that votes for the genocide candidate is a wasted vote. It's worse than a wasted vote. It's a genocidal vote. So we have nothing to lose. We have everything to gain by standing up and using our power. It's all about flicking the switch in our brains from powerless to powerful. We have the numbers, we have the solutions, we have the values of the American people at heart. No one else does. It's up to us. It's not only an opportunity, it is our responsibility. It is our responsibility to our families, to our children, to the future. If we want a world that we can live in, we have to step up and fight for it now. In order to turn that crank for flyering and door knocking and phone banking and fundraising, people need support to do that. It's hard to do that just with materials on a website. We have those materials, but we need organizers. In my view, as someone who's learned a lot about running races in the last 20 years, when grassroots campaigns do well, it's because we have grassroots organizers and because we are able to hire support to enable our volunteers to actually engage. So that's another reason why I'm really urging everyone to own this campaign, to contribute what you can, because your dollars are translated into tabling and flyering and phone banking and persuasion and more fundraising. Your dollars really seed this whole unstoppable coalition that we are together, a grassroots coalition at a time when people are desperate for what we are offering. So thank you so very much for your support, for this solidarity. There's no going back. You know, I think having seen what we've seen and how strong we are together, we are going to have an absolutely powerhouse future together. And I look forward to all of that, especially the coming 42 days when we can come out of left field. They're not going to know what's coming because they don't sample non-traditional voters. They don't know what's going on with them. So it's all about getting people to register right now. They won't be sampled, and we could come entirely out of left field and completely knock them out of the park. That's why AOC is now attacking us. That is why Keith Ellison is attacking us. That's why Angela Ray on The Breakfast Club is attacking us. If you're ever feeling discouraged, just go read the comments to their attempted smears, whether it's on The Breakfast Club or the smears that they have tried to launch on social media. That has so backfired. People are so inspired by the struggle and so completely turned off and scornful of the empire and the attack dogs that it is now employing out of sheer desperation because of what Butch was talking about just a few minutes ago, because the Democrats can no longer win this election. They could if they would stop the genocide. If they would agree to a weapons embargo right now, it would be over. But they won't agree to that because they would rather commit genocide than win the election. So this is on them. This is not our responsibility. This is on them. And it's our chance to, to just forget the lesser evil and fight for the greater good, which we are. And we're the only such vehicle in this election that actually has a fighting chance for all of us and the future that we deserve. So let me turn it back to you, Mark. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone is here. Thank you for whatever you can contribute to actually seize this moment and demand an America and a world that works for all of us. This is within our reach. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jill. And thank you also, Mark, for introducing all of our wonderful guests today. And we want to close this rally out here in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. But I do want to take a couple of minutes and talk about some things that people have asked about in the chat as we've been ongoing. The first thing I want to mention is about the Ohio ballot. I want people who have had concerns about the Ohio ballot right now. It has been asked about, and I have answered it in the chat, but there has been an error at the Ohio Secretary of State, and we will be talking with the Ohio Secretary of State hopefully tomorrow and getting that error corrected. So don't worry about Ohio. You will, the absentee ballots have gone out and they had something printed on it that said that they won't be counted. I want to assure people that is an error, and we will be getting that corrected. So no more questions about that. We will work it out. The other thing that I want to say is that while we have on this rally and in our campaign in general highlighted the genocide in Palestine, and the widening war in the Middle East, that we do absolutely recognize that it is not the only genocide taking place right now, that there are assaults on the Rohingya in Myanmar, that the Sudanese are engaged in are under genocide right now. People in Ethiopia are under assault. People in the Congo are under assault and being genocide. And much of this has to do with U.S. colonialism and imperialism, and I want to assure people that we recognize that. I also want to assure people that we have an expansive platform. There have been some policy questions that we have not addressed tonight, and we're really not going to be able to address them tonight. But we just as a quick rundown, we support Medicare for all. In fact, we'd like to take it a step further and get an NHS-style system. But the bottom line is we support universal health care. Everybody in, nobody out. Nobody has to pay a bill. It is covered through taxation. Right now, we have a healthcare system that leaves tens of millions of people out, either through simply not being insured or having being underinsured, where they are paying premiums and not able to afford services. We have that covered in our plans. We have housing plans. We have climate emergency plans. We have labor rights plans. We have land back plans for tribal sovereignty. We have reparations plans and a Black agenda. All of this is revolutionary. This is where we need to be right now, is that we have to change hearts and minds and understand that these policies are the policies of the future. I hear all the time that 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, the world will be where the Green Party is now. And so and it is because that we are going to be fighting for them and pushing for them. The other thing that I want to say is that for those of you looking to get involved, please sign up to volunteer. Please, sometimes people say, well, I don't know what's happening with the Green Party in my neighborhood. I want to be perfectly honest. There may be no Green Party contacts in your particular neighborhood. Guess what that means? That means you're it. Tag. Okay. This is what we mean when we are tagging people in to be the change. When I don't remember who it was. I think it's ascribed to Gandhi often, although I'm not quite sure he said it. Okay, be the change you wish to see in the world. Sometimes it's you, and sometimes you have to be the lead in your own community. But trust us, we do have field leads that we will get you connected with. We do have resources that we can provide to you. And when we are talking about the fundraising that we are doing here, the importance of the fundraising that we are doing right here, it is so that we can have paid staff in your area. We are looking to hire people in California. We have made hires in Texas, in the Northeast, in Michigan, but we need more. And the more you are able to donate, the more we are able to put paid, committed people on the streets, because a lot of our operations right now are volunteer. We want to make sure that we can pay dedicated people full-time to be on the streets, to be your resources in your neighborhood. So
and just I don't want to interrupt. I just want to make sure that there is still $1,525 need to be matched.
Okay, so Merrill Sundove has committed to a $1,525 match. If somebody drops $1,525 into as a donation right now, Merrill Sundove is going to match that. So I want to tell you where we are right now. We are, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $37,000 raised tonight. We would like to push that to a $45,000 goal tonight. So we need to raise about $8,000 in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So everybody, yeah, it is. It's a fantastic night for us tonight. This allows us to hire over the next month, probably another 5 or 6 field leads just on that alone. So if we can push that to $45,000, that would be fantastic. If somebody can pitch in right now, $1,525, we will get that match. I also want to recognize that early on we had mentioned a few matches. Rich Nadinger was the person who initially offered the $3,150 match that did get matched by Ali Awad. So thank you to Rich Nadinger for that. We had Steve Weltzer who offered a $500 match, and that was matched. And then was it Reema who said that she would match a $500?
Reema and Hamza, both of them.
Reema and Hamza both said that they would match $500. So Rania has put in the chat here, we've got 314 participants watching the show right now. If everybody drops $50 in right now, that's $15,700. We know we have people watching by the thousands on YouTube, on Twitter and other social media. Where's the link to donate? Drop it in the chat, but you can go to the website, jillstein2024.com. Click the donate button, drop some money in the cash, in the kitty, and all of this goes to hire field organizers and to the ad that we are working on right now. Jill is going to be in New York at the Answer Coalition's Rally and March for Gaza at Bryant Park. Jill will be there speaking. And as we are approaching the ignominious anniversary of October 7th, when the massacres started. There are rallies all across the country. We will be in Dallas on October 5th, and Jill and Butch both will be speaking at the rally in Dallas. So clearly and obviously, this is a matter of the utmost importance that we as a campaign are addressing daily. But there are so many other important issues that I want people to know that we stand for also. So whatever you can give right now, 300 people in the room, everybody gives $25, and we've got $9,000 in the bank. Everybody gives $50, we've got $15,000 in the bank. So please dig deep. This campaign is catching fire. I wish people could sort of see the exponential growth of the third-party movement right now. It really is, people are drawing back from the duopoly. They are tired. The spoiler argument is failing. And speaking of the spoiler argument, you know what? I have said from the start, all right, you want to say spoiler, fine. We are happy to spoil your genocide, okay? We don't see ourselves as a spoiler campaign, but if you want to put it in that light, then fine. Yes, we will spoil your genocide. We are on the ballot in every swing state except Nevada. They sued us off the ballot in Nevada. It was an absolutely terrible Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court actually did not look at the decision closely. I believe if they had, they would have ruled in our favor. The Nevada Supreme Court took the initial argument that we had won and overturned it. And we believe that that was in a partisan fashion. The Democrats are playing dirty, and the only way we can fight back is through solidarity. And part of that is giving to this campaign. So we appreciate the list. You know, when we do these in the past, we have read lists of names ongoing of people who have donated, but I want to tell you the list is so long right now, and we're so grateful that it would take me half an hour to read all the names. But that is the power of this movement right now. So please donate what you can. I'm going to stop talking. I just want you guys to know that as a campaign manager, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful on behalf of the team, and that we are putting this money to the best use possible. We've got 6 weeks from today to maximize our efforts. So do what you can. We're at 38,000. Can we raise 7,000 more in the next 10 minutes? It's up to you. Push it, push it, push it. Thank you. Mark, do you want to say something else?
Guys, to be honest with you, now is the time. I mean, I see the movement. I see actually a lot of good donation coming from each one of you, and we really appreciate it. It is really amazing. Tonight, we can make, actually, like Jason said, we can make it happen to even not reach 45,000. But actually, if you ask all the speakers, I told them, my goal is for 50,000 this tonight, and I know we can do it. We can do it with your support. We can do it with your help. Everybody keeps telling me we're afraid of the other side. We might be thinking about Trump presidency. The thing about it is, I'm terrified of presidency of Harris, because what I'm looking at right now, I always keep the same answer. Right now, we are losing Gaza and West Bank. And if Harris comes, we're not going to lose just Gaza and West Bank. We're going to lose Lebanon. We're going to lose Syria. We're going to lose Egypt. We're going to lose Jordan. We're going to lose everything. I'm not worried about this. What I'm worried about is how we can actually flip state. We can do it. We can do it in Michigan. We can do it in Pennsylvania. We can do it in Georgia. We can do it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The only thing actually we need right now is to make sure we get you as a volunteer, we get you as a donor on the book to make sure you are on the ground. Like Jason said, maybe we don't have any. Hey, I'm in Roseville, North Carolina. I don't have any green around here. But guess what? I'm here. I'm going to be knocking doors. I'm going to be making phone calls. And I'm going to be reaching out to everybody to make sure we can make the change, and we will make the change that we deserve, that we want our kids actually to live in peace. I don't want another Wadi incident to happen in the US. I don't want another incident of the three guys who got actually shot because they were wearing a kufiya. I don't want that for my daughter. If she decides to wear hijab, she would actually get harassed because she's wearing her religious tradition if she chooses to do so. I don't want that. So that's why we are fighting right now. I'm not fighting for myself. I'm not going to live the same years I already lived. So I'm fighting it for my kids. And the only way for it is to dig deep in my pocket and make it happen. 50,000, it can be done. It's not impossible. I want to shout out to a couple of people. Actually, I see some even monthly donation. I really appreciate it. And I see a lot of good numbers here, like $20.24. I'm loving those numbers. This is the year. This is the year that actually you're donating. It's happening. I see actually more than that. I see 24 from Patricia Hogg. This is amazing. I see actually 3,300. Somebody already maxed the their donation. I would love for somebody else to do it. We can do it. We can all do it. But the most important thing, I don't want to leave money on the table. I have $1,525. Somebody should match it. We have to match it. Please, let's do this. We can do it. The only thing actually is holding us is either credit card or something. We can just tell us that you're going to do it maybe tomorrow. It is fine. But with your help, we will be able to make it. The 50,000 is nothing for us. If each one, like Rania said, $50, we can make it. And I see actually more than $50. I see $100. I see Paul just donated $50. I see Rosemary Keane donated $50. Abdurrahman Mohammed donated $25. I see Anita donated $150. I see Patrick donated $500. You can do it. We can build it together, guys. I mean, this is what the community, the grassroots movement is. It is us helping each other to reach where we want to be. We're one team. I'm here. I don't know why I'm here. I'm here obviously to do something for our future. My 8 years old is like, every time he see, have you made history, Dad? And I'm like, I'm making it for you. I'm making it for you. We can make it. Imagine the 8 years old talk to me and ask me about the history. If we have made it, we are making history. A history is on the ballot right now in majority of the state, or 95% of our state. A history where we have a Jewish woman, white woman, next to a Muslim black brother, vice president. Together, we are making it together. This is actually how we can do it. We are fighting it. We're all united, fighting the Zionists, because they try to make us actually look bad or feel bad because what we are doing. We're fighting for our rights. I see the best number for Butch, which is $11.11. This is Butch's favorite number. Well, we need another 11 people to reach out to another, donate another $11.11. We can do it, guys. $3 monthly, anything right now makes a difference.
Mark,
Anything.
I think you found your calling here. I'm going to turn this over to you next time. I can take a break, and Mark's going to do the fundraising next time. But let me add in also that we do have new merchandise for Stein Ware. We have now released our Stein and Ware for 2024. And we also have special shirts and stickers for tonight's event. Star Wars themed. If you can imagine the Star Wars official logo and now reimagine that as Stein Ware, we do have that merchandise now. We don't know. I don't think it's copyrighted anymore, but you know, it's used all over the place. So yeah, go to the website. I actually, yeah, limited edition. Georgia just posted in the chat. 2024.com, jillstein2024.com, SW Rally. So thank you so much. I'm gonna get an update. Georgia, can we get an update on our numbers right now?
Yeah, 41,428.
So roughly 41.4. Can we push it another 3, and what would that make it? 3.6, $3,600 is all we need, and we can close it down tonight. That would be amazing. I'm just gonna put that in the chat right now. That is one max out donation and a little bit right there. So the max donation is $3,300. So
I'll jump in for a second while
go
we're
ahead, Jill. Go ahead.
waiting for the inspiration to take hold. This is, you know, it's like magical what's happening right now in the crisis of a genocide. We're forging this incredible solidarity coalition. People are going to such extraordinary lengths. The Democrats announced back in March that they were hiring an army of lawyers to throw us off the ballot. They advertised for infiltrators and spies and people who would manage them. And they also hijacked our public dollars, which we were using to get on the ballot. But we still wind up being on the ballot now for about 95% of voters. So we, the people, have prevailed. We have won 3 out of 4 court cases in spite of their army of lawyers, and they take you to court to wear you down, to exhaust your resources. And it is nothing short of astounding that we have fought back, that just everyday people have insisted on fighting back and been out there collecting signatures. In Nevada, by the way, where they threw us off the ballot, we collected 3 times the number of required signatures. And the reason they threw us off the ballot was because the Secretary of State told us to stop using the form we were using, which was correct, and they said, oh no, that's obsolete. You got to use this one. This form didn't have a certain footnote in it. It was a trivial difference, but it was their error. It was their error. And it's like crazy. It incentivizes these political election departments to make mistakes, like what happened in Ohio, this mistake we're hearing about in Ohio that we're now dealing with. But the decision of the court basically said, oh, it's okay to make mistakes. You know, go ahead and make mistakes, and we'll have to pay the price.
Yeah, they literally said that it was our responsibility to know that the Secretary of State had given us the wrong form. That was the judgment.
The Secretary of State didn't know. We're supposed to know for each of 50 states. You know, it's just like it's completely garbage. It's ludicrous. But there is some divine justice here, because in Nevada, it's one of the few states where you cannot run a write-in campaign. So it seemed like they were succeeding here in completely keeping us off of a swing state. But the reality is there's actually a none of the other slot. So we'll be instructing people who want to express their rejection of genocide to vote none of the others. So we will still salvage a vote. It won't be specifically for us, but it will be a vote against the other 3 genocidal candidates. So, you know, again, people are pulling out all the stops to do the right thing and are overcoming the ridiculous smears and the fear campaigns and the fear mongering and the fraud and the abuse that the Democrats are committing to try to maintain their stranglehold on the political process. We are prevailing, and there's no stopping us. And it is a no-lose proposition. Simply for having use the cards that we've been dealt, and by standing up strong and organizing forward, that's how we're going to fix this. And however far we get, if we get to 5%, then we're going to have a large chunk of change to be on the ballot and to have resources to hit the ground running in the next presidential election. But also coming out of this election, we're going to have momentum to run candidates for local office too, which is really, really important. That's actually our preference, is to be building from the bottom up. So don't think that it's over on November 6th. It's not over. It's just winding up. Empire doesn't retire in a day. And if we don't unwind the empire is going to go down in flames and take us with it. So we have a job to do here, not only for Gaza, once we stop the genocide in Gaza and the genocide in Sudan and in the DRC, we got a lot of work to do. And empire is playing a huge role in all of this. So we're going to be occupied for some time here, but with it is with an incredibly inspired and awesome community that transforms our lives even before we have transformed the world. I feel this very much myself. And I think most of the activists I know are very invested in the culture of, of community, this culture of solidarity, and really feel like we're in it for the long haul. And this is part of transforming the world, is creating a world which is just and peaceful and loving and supportive. That is how we build, by modeling that world that we are building. And it is that for us, thanks to all of you, everyone on this call, everyone in this movement. You're transforming my life, I have to say, and all of our lives, just in the act of this struggle. It's a really beautiful and inspired struggle.
And everywhere we go, we're down to, I think, about $2,200 was the last I heard, to hit that $45,000 goal. But I want everybody to know, everywhere we go, people are tired of the red and blue. They see them as not necessarily the same, but not different enough to make a difference in their lives. What are they doing for working people? Jill and I were, and my home base is up here in the Seattle area, but Jill and Butch both came up to Seattle over the last couple of days, and we came here to stand with the Boeing machinist strike workers who are striking. 33,000 unionized Boeing machinists are striking right now for better pay. And we were listening to the stories. And if you go to Workers Strike Back, if you know Shama Sawant and you know Workers Strike Back, Jill interviewed with the Workers Strike Back podcast. And so you'll see that episode upcoming in a day or two, probably. But we interviewed workers on the line, and they gave us a litany of ways that Boeing, which is, by the way, the largest exporting company in the U.S., it's one of the biggest weapons manufacturers in the U.S. Now, the machinists here, they make commercial planes for the most part, but they do make some military jets. I don't want to, I'm not going to dodge on that one. But, people need jobs, and we certainly hope to scale back the military. But we're here for the working class, and we want to make sure if people are doing a job, that they're getting paid fairly and they're getting their benefits fairly. And Boeing, one of the most profitable companies in history, is not treating its workers fairly. And so the Boeing machinists were more than happy, having the courage to band together. They voted 96%. Imagine that. They voted 96% to go on strike. And so they're picketing. They don't expect a resolution to their contract. It is Boeing is hemorrhaging money right now because of this. But understand that capitalists are so wealthy that they can afford to hold out in a way that striking workers can't do. And that's one of the reasons that in our platform, we want to implement a federal national solidarity fund to support striking workers. The Democrats can't even pass good worker supports right now. So I mean, they can't. Democrats wouldn't even pass. They blame it on a parliamentarian, or they're going to blame it on Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. And it's so funny because Biden was elected to be the guy who could whip those votes. Can you imagine LBJ? Looking at somebody like Joe Manchin and taking Joe Manchin's garbage, and instead of taking him into a back room and say, listen, buddy, I'm going to end your career unless you get behind the program of, for instance, the civil rights program, which LBJ actually did. LBJ had to have some of those conversations with some holdouts on civil rights and on Medicare. But we have such a weak corporate-owned Democratic Party right now. They're virtually indistinguishable from the Republicans. So we've got to, we need a new day in this country. We need a new political party. So please, we are going beyond
And
selection.
we need also a new number other than the 45,000. I'm looking at 50,000. I'm not looking at 45,000. I know we can do it together. I know we can do it because I see the numbers keep coming. I see $111.11. I see $20 from Jubilant. I see the $111.11 from Patricia. I see $75 from Deventi. I see I see 111 from Hugh Ham. I see $24 from Tom. I see $30 monthly. Thank you so much, really, Holly Haywood. I see $44.44. So we're maximizing the 11s.
Did you see the 2,200 that came in from Tom?
I did not. Tom pushed us
thank
up.
you so much, Tom. You pushed us,
Wow.
I think,
That
to
is
45,
fantastic.
so we really could do the 50. And just for people to know, we have Democracy Now! Tomorrow morning for the
Tomorrow
first
morning,
time.
Democracy
We are
Now!
breaking through on Democracy Now! And this is just such a wonderful lead up to them. This sets new records for us for an evening of fundraising. The Democrats and the Republicans and RFK, they all use the loopholes for legalized corruption. They use super PACs where a single donor can contribute millions of dollars. They use dark money, which comes in through, we could talk all evening about these loopholes that I have studied for years to know about, because you're not supposed to know about them. But there are all these loopholes that exist. So there's dark money, which is so-called nonprofit, charitable nonprofits. They can donate without limits, essentially. And there's a thing called victory funds, where a single donor can write a check up to $1 million. So they have billion-dollar donors. Kamala Harris has more billionaires donating to her campaign than ever in history. And we don't do that. We're just people powered. We're just everyday people. What you see is what you get, because no one owns us. We're owned by we the people who need.
We are on the rise. We are on the rise. Our polling is on the rise. We're polling, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when we're talking about, one of our goals, like our baseline goal is to get 5% nationally. That's a baseline goal that will help us immensely in future elections, where we have to do all this fighting for ballot access. A 5% national goal is going to secure our ballot access in many of the states. We started out this year having, I think, 18 states on the ballot that were holdovers from previous elections. So if you don't understand how it works, in many states, you have to get a certain minimum percentage of the vote in order to retain ballot access for next year. So we had 18 states coming into this election, but we had to do and put a ton of resources into simply getting onto the ballot in now the 38 states that we've gotten on and 9 other write-ins. But if we get 9%, if we get 5% of the national vote, that means we have hit many targets. We're probably going to go into 2028, the 2028 election with actually the 2026 election, because if we get those percentages, they will hold for the 2026 election also. probably 35 states we will go into the 2028 election and 26 and 28 elections with. So we will have much fewer resources that we need to spend in getting on some of those extra ballots in 2028. And we will have $10 million minimum in order to do it with. So the real impacts of growing the Green Party, and I want to say here, Green Party is a party that is policy principled. It is a policy principled party. So it is not just about the quote unquote Green Party. It's about all of the policies that the Green Party brings with it that we are willing to fight for in Congress and using the executive order of the presidency. We're talking about a real reparations program. The Black community in America, along with the indigenous community and so many others, but let's just talk about the Black community specifically, has been thrown under the bus repeatedly in this country. We have never in this country owned up to 400 years of slavery and redlining and Jim Crow, and even as much as the Civil Rights Program did, a lot of people looked at the Civil Rights legislation and say, "Oh, that's good. That's it. We're done. We solved whatever the problems of racism in America and institutional racism." We obviously have not. And a reparations program and a real Black agenda will do that. And we are committed to those. We are absolutely committed to seeing that through to support the Black community in this country that has absolutely been thrown under the bus. Go ahead, Jill.
So two things I want to just throw in while people are, just creating a miracle right now before our very eyes. For one thing, how did we break into democracy now? It's so kind of deliciously ironic that what opened the floodgates to media coverage for us was getting smeared by AOC. Getting smeared by AOC just kind of broke the ice, and it was so ridiculous, and it made so many heads turn that we just started getting more coverage. And I also have to give a shout out to Butch, who started making contacts, including with Mehdi Hassan, who was a disaster of his own. That is Mehdi, who's such an attack dog for the Democratic Party. And that also, was a certain kind of blowback for the Democrats, that they are, sort of viciously attacking like that. And then it was especially getting onto the Breakfast Club. And many of these openings actually were triggered by contacts that Butch was able to make through the Black community and the Black network, as well as through the Muslim network. So it was that, and then it was all the smears and the outrageous attacks from AOC and Angela Ray that kind of got the interest level up, and that then opened the doors to the Breakfast Club. And it was this total turnaround at the Breakfast Club where they brought on this expert that they thought was really going to demolish us. I mean, I'm not sure who made that happen, whether it was a producer or what, but somebody thought they were going to really ambush us, and it was no ambush at all. But it was hysterical. And yes, actually, I'm reading a comment here, get on Fox. We are going on Fox. We do have something coming up. It might even be this.
Yeah, it's Maria Bartiromo's Sunday morning, and I think we're not going to be able to do that until a couple of weeks into October. We did have it scheduled for the 22nd. A couple of days ago, this last Sunday we initially had it scheduled for, and programming changes as the news cycle changes, and so the attacks on Lebanon came, and they called us up and they said, hey, we need to divert to covering the attacks on Lebanon, and so they canceled our interview with us, but we're rescheduled for a couple of weeks down the road. I think the 13th, October 13th is when we're scheduled to be on Fox News, but we are reaching large audiences, and just some other things that we are scheduled for is Al Jazeera's Fault Lines We'll be doing that on Thursday. Sabby Sabs, if you guys know Sabby Sabs, Butch and Jill are both gonna be on Sabby Sabs. We're taping that one tomorrow. It's gonna be a pre-record, and that will probably be released on her Thursday show. What else? Rosa Clemente's podcast we're going to be doing tomorrow. Living on Earth we're going to be doing.
NPR, which is
That's
no
NPR. Yep, NPR. And I think and NPR's Here and Now show we're going to do on Friday morning with Jill Ryan as well. So, people, we are getting so many requests for media. I also want you to know that, most of these shows, if we have the capacity to share them on our media, they will be shared on our YouTube channel, which is at Dr. Jill Stein. If you don't know our YouTube channel, which also has a wealth of other videos that address specific topics. I encourage you to go through the playlist on the YouTube channel. A lot of them will answer some of these nagging questions that people have, like, well, what about the Putin thing? Yeah, okay, well, there's an answer to the whole Putin thing, and it's a 3-minute video that's on our website, and once you see that video, it clears everything up. And, it's one of those smears that just falls flat now because, yeah, there's a story behind it. There's a reason that Jill was sitting at a table with Vladimir Putin, and it happened to be a media conference, and Jill was actually speaking out against Vladimir Putin at that. So, some of these attacks that get thrown at us by the Democrats, they're old, they're tired, they're falling flat. People aren't buying it anymore. People are recognizing that they are being lied to by the establishment. So, this has gone on like half an hour longer than we really intended it to. So we're going to call it in 2 minutes. I'm going to get a final donation amount here from our fundraiser, Georgia. We're going to post that. So the $2,200 donation that was promised has not come in yet, and so we're not going to count it at this point, although we certainly hope that it does come in. But we are at just over $44,000, 44,010 right now. We would love to push it to $45,000. I know Mark said 50, but we're gonna draw back on the 50.
Listen, I know we are
get it
generous.
to 45,000.
What do
Go
you
ahead,
say?
Mark. Say what you guys say. You got 1 minute.
Mark.
1 minute pitch.
We are generous, guys. I mean, show them actually the generosity that we have. We don't have the $1 million from the other side, but we have 1 million people actually can pitch for us and help us here to reach the
200 people still on the webinar, $5 each. That gets us to $45,000. Simple as that. Everybody watching the webinar right now, $5. We've hit our $45,000 goal, and we will call that an absolutely fantastic night. Yeah, and
it is definitely a fantastic night with all our speakers, and I promised them just 1 hour to be with us, and then they can leave after that. They're sticking with us, and exactly as I was expecting, they are sticking, looking, and watching our movement going.
Please support
dollar by dollar.
Please support all of our guests out there in the world. Dr. Ed Hassan with his podcast. Hamza, in any way you can. The support should be mutual. Anybody who comes on to support us, we want our community to turn around and support them also. If you can go to, I really want you to watch this. ArabCon was a conference that was held in Dearborn, Michigan. Was it 2 weeks ago now? Was it just a week ago? Time flies. It was really just only last weekend, but it was a 3-day conference, and all of that, you can search ArabCon. Go to day 3, I think it was, and find Rania Masri's speech. I think Amer Zar was a host of a Rania, since you're still there and I just saw you pop back on camera, talk to us a little bit about your speech on day 3 of the conference, because it was absolute fire. It was inspired, and I want everybody to know where they can find that.
Well, I didn't really give a speech. I just asked some questions to the Democrats that are still holding on to Kamala Harris. expecting somehow that she's going to reveal her policy as if she hasn't revealed her policy. So I just put the tweet right there. Rania Abdelkhairi also happens to be a good friend of mine. She took the entire exchange from the ADC convention. So you get to hear my question and you get to hear the response from the representative from the state of Georgia, who is still voting blue no matter who. And people can make the decision for themselves. I love the idea of asking Democrats who continue to claim that our lives are worthy and continue to claim that they oppose the genocide, why they are still holding on to voting for Kamala Harris. And really, every time I hear them talk, I can't help but respect the Republicans more, because at least they're being honest. So you check out the tweet. I just asked some questions to folks. My other piece of encouragement is if y'all ever bump into some of these liberal organizations like the Working Families Party or Climate Power, or there's so many of them that claim to be working for racial justice, and you get one of their phone calls saying, "Hey, vote for Kamala," just ask them why. See if you can get them to say one good policy for Kamala Harris, because I can't find one. I really can't find one.
And Rania, I just want to say, as much fire as you are, that wasn't even the one I was thinking about. I was thinking, which is absolutely brilliant. I was thinking about the next day, or was it 2 days later? When you introduced Jill.
Yes, I don't have a copy of that.
But that was day 3, right? Was that close to the end
that was
of day
day 3? That you're correct, Jason.
Okay.
That was day 3. When I was honored and thrilled to introduce Jill, which wasn't actually what we were planning. But when Ahmed had me as the last speaker, I asked Ahmed Zahar, I said, well, why don't I just go ahead and introduce Jill? And there was a thrill from saying, and now the next speaker is the next president of the United States, Dr. Jill Stein.
It was a thrill. It was a thrill listening to you, because when you speak, you are really just absolutely on fire every time I have heard you speak in public. So yeah, go to YouTube, search Arab Con Dearborn, go to day 3, scroll through, because I don't think they have them segmented, but find the outdoor event. You'll know it when it comes up. And then Rania introduces Jill in a I don't know how many minutes you spoke there, Rania, but it was just absolutely brilliant. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Do we have one more update, because we really gotta close it down. We're less than $500 away. We're less than $500 away from a $45,000 goal. Can we do it? Can we do it? Can one person give $500 and then we can all go get some dinner?
Well, it's not the $500. Let's shoot for the 15 and 25, guys. Let's break. Let's be in the middle, like maybe 47,500 between the 45.
Mark, Mark, I am actually not going to do that. It is.
I just want to mention that Steve Welser just said that he would match 250. So we need one person, 250, and then Jason can have dinner, and we do want Jason to have dinner.
I do need it. Thank you, Rania. Yes, Rania posted the YouTube right there. So please. $250 donation is what we're looking for, and we will have had a wonderful evening with some wonderful guests. There we go. Yes, no.
Well, we're really past the time, and we can still accept donation even if we close this. So
in my mind, we hit $45,000 tonight, because I know people are going to watch this and donate. Thank you so much, everybody, all of our guests. Jill, you need to get some sleep also. It's been wonderful to spend this evening with you. Go to the website, volunteer, get some merchandise, donate more if you can. Sign up for a recurring donation. Read the platform when you're out there in public and you are talking to people. Be armed with the facts of the policy that we want to implement when we win this race. That's it. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.